Hey guys, this is Joe Barrett and welcome to another episode of Paintbology 101, more textbook paintball tips and advice from me. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite lessons, and that's body awareness and benefits of shooting crosshand. This is a fun topic for me because I'm a person who you'll often see shooting crosshand, and it's just often been one of those highly debated topics in paintball because of, fundamentally you're taught to shoot out of one side of your bunker with that same hand. It's funny because all the time you'll hear coaches pick players apart for it, or people ask and question, oh, why is that player out there not using his right hand? Why is he not doing that? And oftentimes younger players will not be using this at the proper time. But normally if you see a better player shooting with their offhand, there is actually a reason why, and I figured I could break it down better with some live demonstration and some drawings to basically help you better see exactly the benefit that it is bringing to the game. So let's show you what that looks like. In a situation where you might have to use crosshand, you're normally pinched. You're probably in the middle of the field, or you're shooting cross field. You normally don't shoot cross-handed downfield, and why that is because if you're in, say, a corner shooting at a mirror, there's no reason for you to be exposing the entire other side of your body and shooting with one hand. But this can hide your body profile in certain situations, like the one I'm about to show you. For example, this player right here, or this crude drawing of a player represented by his circle, pods, which are these circles, and his hopper and barrel and gun with these small circles. It's a representation, but you get the gist of it. This player is in a situation where he is playing heads up against, or he's playing at shooting gaps against Dorito players trying to move up the field. In this particular situation, right off the back, what you have to understand is somebody on the snake side is on him. So he has one side of his bunker to play out of, and that's going to become important as to why he basically has to shoot wrong-handed in order to decrease his profile and survive longer. So with this player shooting at him from snake side, let's say just somewhere in the snake, he is limited to this amount of space on the bunker. You can see his amount of livable space is basically between these two red dotted lines representing lanes. If he only had to deal with one player on the Dorito side, you can basically stay using your left hand, but the problem comes when he starts to have a player follow him up this side, and that's when you're going to have to deal with basically trying to survive from two targets heads up and maintain your lanes and cover your zones. You still are in basically control of a job containing this side of the field, but you're doing this job against two different opponents now, and that's going to make things a little bit more complicated. So let's say you're playing against these two players in Dorito 1 and 2. At this point, this player can shoot with his left hand out the side of the bunker, and he's really at no risk from being eliminated from this player back here. This player is basically almost downfield from him, so there's really no angle exposed. I mean, he might see a little bit of barrel tip from back there, but he's not really wide enough or far enough where this player is at too much risk from him. And this player across the field doesn't have a shot. If he's forced to move or play tighter to this side of the field, he's going to get eliminated. But as of right now, this player can live in the situation he's in. When this front Dorito player moves up to the next Dorito is when you're going to have a situation that you have to kind of adjust your body in order to survive. Why that is because this player is going to have to go from shooting a lane between these spots to shooting for that next outside edge, and he's basically going to have to lean in tighter and have his barrel shoot more towards the side of the field rather than downfield. So at this point, you're going to have one of three situations happen after this player makes the move up the Dorito, and he has to hide from him and the player supporting up behind him. In the first diagram, you have what would happen if you tried to play tight to that player's new position by maneuvering off your bunker. At this point, you're still going to have your gun in your left hand. You're going to be hidden from that support player who's going to come up to his old Dorito and try to get a shot on his hopper, but you're going to shift your basically your right side and your pack out into the right side of your bunker, and you're going to get blown up in the side from anybody in the snake, or maybe the snake corner. Whatever had an angle on you in this pocket is now going to shoot you when you get pushed out that side of the bunker. In diagram 2, you're going to have the next situation that could happen. This player is at least conscious enough to realize he has to stay square to his bunker and keep his pods hidden from players on the snake side of the field. So he's staying flat to his bunker to not expose his right side or his pack, but he's trying to keep his gun in the hand that he believes he should have it in, his left hand, to shoot left. And now his hopper is going to come off of his bunker along with quite a bit of his gun and barrel, exposing more profile to that insert player following up the Dorito front player he's shooting at. This player not only is going to have his gun come off the bunker and exposed to people behind the target he's shooting at, but he's going to have to lean into his bunker to hide more of his profile from the front player basically at the 50 next to him, and that's also going to take away a lot of his field vision. So on top of exposing his gun, he's going to be tight into the bunker enough where he's tight to the threat he wants to be tight from, but he can't even see what's happening at the bunkers behind the front player as the other player follows him up. The last scenario is in diagram 3, where the player makes the correct choice and decides to play with his offhand in order to keep his profile minimal from both sides and continuing to do his job. In this situation, you can see the player is consciously staying square to his bunker in order to keep his pack and right side hidden from players on the snake side of the field, but he's keeping his gun and hopper against the bunker and shooting with his opposite hand in order to keep the profile minimalized from the player that he's not shooting at. At this point, he can still basically live behind his gun, which he would already be doing in any of the other situations already. He's living behind his gun to the threat from the player who moved to this Dorito, but he no longer has to worry about being eliminated from the player trying to work on a new angle behind that front player. Second to getting eliminations in paintball, one of the most important things you can focus on is survivability. If you're not alive at the end of your games, you're not helping your team win games. For a reason like this, players like Jason Edwards and Damian Ryan are standout stars. These are players you'll often see alive at the end of games to close, last players alive in a point that they might lose, dug into bunkers, winning down body situations, or they might be last alive in a corner and someone literally has to bunker them to dig them out. You might even say they're dug in like ticks because they're so difficult to eliminate out of their bunkers by any kind of angles. It's not by coincidence that you'll often see either of these players and others like them wheeling and dealing cross-handed for most of entire points. If they're doing it and their stats show survivability like they have, clearly there's a method behind their madness. Now that I've broke down the exact benefits and reasoning behind using this technique, let's take a little trip to our local paintball field and apply it to our game.
Alright, first we're going to show you what it looks like when this player plays with his left hand outside of the left side of his bunker in this situation. You can see right now he's consciously playing square to the bunker, so he's tight from the snake side of the field to his right, and he's not going to get clipped in the side or pack. In this situation he looks away, and when he does, the player makes the move into the bunker. You can see when he does that, Ian's gun swings out a little bit wider to the left in order to shoot his next bunker, and it comes off the bunker, exposing more profile. That's me in the back representing the Dorito insert or support player, and when I see that barrel shift to shoot at my front player, obviously I'm going to come to the next spot and get that easy kill. Let's take a look at what that looks like from my point of view. Ian comes off his job. Our front player Sean makes the move to the next Dorito and gets tight. I come in and there's the easy kill. You can see how much is exposed. Let's see it again from both sides. And there's the immediate kill on his hopper. It's almost a guaranteed kill every single time. You can see when he moves in this shot right here, Ian's face gets tighter into the bunker and he loses field awareness downfield this way in order to press tighter into the bunker to shoot at Sean in his new position. But he can't really back further up behind the bunker because that'll expose him to snake side. So in this situation, trying to play with this hand with the cards he's dealt, it's about to cost him this game and lose him his life in this point because of his exposed profile to me.
Okay, so now we're back to square one. Let's see what that looks like when this player who's trying to stay alive against two opponents knows a little bit more how to be, body aware and live in his bunker in that playable space behind his bunker from both sides of the 50. In this case, the player is going to switch to shooting crosshand after Sean makes the bump into the next Dorito. And why he's going to do this is because he can't turn his body, as I showed you in the diagrams, to play tighter with his proper hand towards Sean, because it's going to expose his pack and his left side to that snake side of the field to his right. He also can't stay tight, square to the bunker right like he is now, and still use that left hand of his to shoot at Sean, because in order to do that, he's going to have to lean his head into the bunker and have his gun aim further out towards his left, which is going to bring his hopper and barrel off of the bunker, exposing more of his profile to people following up Sean behind him, which would be me and that Dorito basically supporting and following him up. So let's check out what that looks like when he uses this proper profile to hide his body from me. He's shooting the lane, looks to check, see what's going on snake side. Sean makes the move into the next Dorito. He looks back over and knows, quickly switches hands and shoots at him to prevent the gap. And as you can see, I make the same move coming in to wrap that bunker that Sean used to be at, and I cannot find any hopper, forearm, hand, or shoulder to land paint on. And he's still able to live from the opposite side of the field and use his gun to keep himself alive from Sean right next to him. Let's see what that looks like from our point of view, playing towards him. He switches, Sean makes the move, he sees it, realizes and quickly switches hands, and you can see a very small amount of his shoulder sticking out, but at least that's a soft jersey part and not a hopper, barrel, front of a gun, and possibly hands and mask. So I know that he is posted up to stop Sean from continuing the move, so I'm going to fill in behind him, shoot for that shot, and as you can see, there's just nothing sticking out. I don't have that shot. Let's see that one more time from both angles. Sean makes the move, he switches hands to protect his hopper, he's keeping himself alive with his gun, and I'm not able to find that bingo. He's basically still going to be able to live from both 50s, and this game's still going to be drawn out until we can figure out a way to work them out together. I come in, shoot, and even half a hopper, can't find somewhere to land shots on him. I can see maybe the little tip of his barrel and paint coming out towards my front player, but there's nothing exposed here, and that's how you know that whether he's using proper hand or not, he understands body awareness and he's playing with the tightest possible profile in the situation.